Imagine that you were a farm-raised chicken. You know that you're going to die within 8 weeks after you're born. How would that make you feel? Scared? Worried? Despair? Nevertheless, the answer that you said is meaningless. After all, there's only one result no matter what emotions you express. You can't do anything. In any case, though they're cruel to kill you, the farmers were able to give you some friends. Chickens that you could interact with. After all, chickens are social animals, right? How lucky you must be. You are able to interact with friends and eventually have a mate. Then, you're going to end up as a parent to your son or daughter. You are so happy with this bond that you have made. On another note, you're also allowed to have free space to roam around and explore the environment within you. You're also able to eat food that you could have for so many days. It's like a buffet. In the end, you are very much fulfilled and you lay down your last breath. You are happy. What a satisfying life we have, right, folks? Now, how about if you think about this scenario? You're still a chicken, and you know that you're going to die within 8 weeks after you're born. You're still allowed to have friends, chickens that you can interact with. So, what's the catch? What's different is that there are too many. Too many, in fact, that you couldn't move around. You have trouble moving your hand around. You can't even move from one location to another. You can't even see the environment that you're trapped in. You could only see chicken in front of you, chicken behind you, chicken from the left, and chicken from the right. So many chickens that you have trouble breathing. You're starving because many chickens are eating the food that you're supposed to have. You're stepping on your feces and the other chicken's feces. It's not clean. Yet no matter how much you complain, your sounds could even be heard because of the other chickens clucking. In the end, the farmer then suddenly grabbed you and put you to the chopping board. And now you're dead. So, how would this make you feel? Anger? Sad? Anguish? If you were a chicken, do you think that you deserve to live like this? Well, do you know that there's a real life situation that allows this scenario to happen? It's called CAFO, or Concentrated Animal Feeding Operations. And in there, they force chickens to experience the same situations as what I have shown you earlier. So, do you think that it is evil for the farmers to do such things? Well, for me, it is, and it is not. Welcome to today's video essay on the binary between good and evil. Today, we will be exploring how our concept of good changes over time through analyzing economics, ethics, and cultural perspectives on societal issues such as slavery and CAFOs. My name is Sandy Sosa, high school student taking AP Environmental Science and US History at Los Altos High School. And without further ado, let's get started. First of all, before we start our discussion about CAFOs, let's all start with something similar to CAFO to better understand my perspective on why I think that CAFO is good, but also bad. We'll first tackle about slavery.
Toby with an I, with an accent over the I, and a little line over the O, so you know it's a long vowel sound and not a short one.
In the context of US history, millions of enslaved Africans contributed to the establishment of colonies in the States and continued laboring in various regions to help their master. Slavery represents one of the most morally complex and controversial systems that ever existed. As seen by the video earlier, The African character was whipped by the American to tell his name only. Normally, who would whip someone just to tell you their name? That's supposed to be like murderers and torturers, right? No one is supposed to have that in our day of age. Therefore, we could say that this shows an abuse of power that shows dehumanization and exploitation of people. They are humans also. So, why do Americans want to use slavery? Well, it's simple. It's because of their cultural and economic factors. In the paper, titled Slavery and the Rise of the 19th Century American Economy, it discussed the economic state of the United States during 1776 and how it was affected by the aftermath of the Revolutionary War between the United States and the British Empire. For context, due to the desire to revolutionize against the empire, the Americans decided to establish their independence, which caused a war. However, after they won, the war left the country in a significant amount of debt. With no clear plan for financial stability, if it decreases severely, then the country will further suffer. This is exemplified by the high inflation in the country caused after the war, according to the same source, which really impacted the standard of living amongst Americans. Although it was described that even though the United States is affluent in world standards, including like having a large area compared to other countries, it was still really underdeveloped. For instance, the United States lacks key infrastructures and institutions like banks, domestic capital markets, or internal transportation, which really hinders the growth of the country. However, their economic situation improved because of Britain's high cotton production demand. This created an economical opportunity for the Americans to supply the high demand from the Britain by increasing the need for slave labor. There is also a cultural factor on why slavery existed. First of all, let's ask ourselves, from whom did the idea of slavery come from anyway? I'm not talking about what country originated slavery, since even from ancient times there was a presence of slavery, such as the Egyptian history or even way from Mesopotamian period. Instead, I'm asking the reason for what influenced the ancient America to perform slavery. According to Equal Justice Initiative, it is mainly due to their forefathers, the British Empire, and other influential countries that influenced them. For them, the use of slavery was justified because it couldn't help them improve their overall country. Over time, though, the system of slavery became so warped that it wasn't just simply an economic way, but part of the American way of life, or more simply, their culture. Every day, they now often use slaves to do whatever they want. It is now part of their culture. Now, let's think for ourselves, shall we? Do you do you think that culture can be considered good or evil? In some ways, yeah, because what one society sees as good can appear as evil from others. For example, from what I experience in Asian countries, parents have a culture to conduct physical or verbal discipline, such as spanking them in the butt or berating them with foul words to teach children respect and guiding them to the future. My own mother even once told me, kailangan ko ito gawin para matuto ka kung paano gawin ang tama. Kaya, kailangan mo ito gawin, okay? Or, in translation, I need to do this so you can learn how to do what's right. That's why you must do it. So, to an outsider's perspective, such as Americans, this practice might seem evil because there are potential negative impacts to the discipline on children's mental health, such as anxiety and depression, which are seen from other sources. However, from the perspective of those who practice it, it's often seen as an essential part of raising children to succeed in life. I similarly also experienced the same way. My mother disciplined me, and so I became the way I am today. So, similarly, slavery in America, though deeply damaging and morally evil, was seen by many at the time as a cultural and economic necessity. So for them, it is considered as good. Anyways, Now that we have established the economic and cultural context about the need for slavery, here's another big question for you to ponder. Do you think that during their time, slavery was considered morally and ethically right if it benefits the American citizens? After all, Americans suffered during the war between the British and the Americans. Moreover, since it was culturally influenced and coined as good, then do you think that you should classify them as evil? How about other cultures today? Are they also evil? Nevertheless, you might still say that it was still immoral and ethically wrong because it caused not only physical suffering but also psychological and societal consequence to the enslaved people. Indeed, enslaved people endured immense hardships while serving their master and being treated less than a human. This is seen from how Frederick Douglass suffered during his experiences being treated as a slave. It was really horrible how Frederick Douglass suffered in his life as a slave. Not only was he unable to learn basic knowledge that he has every right to have, he was still berated by their masters. So, is slavery at the end really bad? Consider this scenario before you conclude that slavery was evil or good. According to a study conducted by RT et al. In a website called Historic UK, during the Civil War between the North and the Southern states because of slavery, a cotton famine happened in the United Kingdom because 70% of cotton imported came from the United States. Thanks to the Civil War, a severe economic and social crisis happened, which generated around 24,000 excess deaths. Not only did it cause a massive unemployment, but it also caused a massive poverty, which ultimately resulted in the deaths of many British. So, through ending slavery, it caused the deaths of 1,000 or many more British people in the United Kingdom. As such, is it right to end something evil if it is beneficial for others? Americans knew how much the British imported their cotton, and they knew full well that ending slavery would make the textile industries and other industries in the United Kingdom fail. So, all in all, is slavery good or evil? In the end, the issue is very complex. After all, there is no perfect good versus evil. In this case, for pro-slavery, it is not only culturally ingrained but also economically beneficial. However, it is ethically and morally wrong, as exemplified by how Frederick Douglass suffered. So, what do you think? But, anyways, in the end, it's already over and slaves are free, which caused a ton of deaths. However, slavery still exists metaphorically in the real world. As I said earlier, CAFOs are an example of slavery, which ultimately supplies the needed meat supply to the Americans today. At this point, we'll, I've been talking all about slavery so many times. So, how about I try to change our timeline a bit? Instead of talking about the past, let's now talk about the modern issues and how they could influence the future. CAFOs, or Concentrated Animal Feeding Operations. According to Wisconsin Department of Health Services, the majority of the animals are placed in a small confinement area, as you have shown here. Therefore, in that small cage alone, it houses not only chickens, but their waste and their food. It's still immoral and ethically wrong because it caused not only physical suffering but also psychological and societal consequences to the chickens. However, it created an economic opportunity for the Americans to supply the high demand of meat from themselves. According to World Population Review, the United States is the second largest consumer of meat in 2022. Therefore, if K-foods had not been introduced, then it couldn't supply the demand of meat, which may lead to higher prices of it than what we usually buy. Do you like that? How can other people afford the meat if it's going to be expensive? So, this is quite similar to what slavery is because the chickens are treated as simply livestock for the benefit of the country. Moreover, the culture of CAFO is ingrained in our minds already. As such, I conclude that CAFO and slavery are heavily similar to each other. They are both morally complex and can't be classified as simply evil or good. So that's where we land today. There's no such thing as perfect good or perfect evil in what you see in like Disney movies or cartoons. Issues today are much more complex, and both perspectives have their fair share of good and evil. So, how are we going to decide if both things are not good for us? The answer is that it's up to you. You decide on what is good or what is evil because everyone has different opinions, which are not necessarily right. So ultimately, what you need to do is to investigate and learn deeper on what is true and what is not to decide if one thing is good or evil. You never know. I might be wrong in some cases. But as long as you conduct an holistic investigation, then you could believe that I am saying the truth. Thank you for enjoying this video essay. Once again, my name is Andy Sosa, and remember, no one is perfect.